Hi, welcome to the TalkSpot. This is Marcus, and today I'm joined by Manel De Aguas. I might have totally butchered that, but I apologize for that. How's your day going?
Good. Yeah, it's been an intense day. I've walked a lot today. I've been hearing a lot of atmospheres around the city of Barcelona.
Nice. Well, yeah, if you wouldn't mind, could you tell us a little bit about your work and
Yeah. Well, what I do is I practice cyborg art. Is one of the arts I practice, let's say. And cyborg art is about creating new senses and new organs and installing or implanting them in the body. And these organs are made by technology. So it's implanting new cybernetic body parts to the body in order to extend your perception of reality. And in my case, the project I've been working on during the last 3 days is the creation of an organ to extend my perception of the weather. And during these 3 years, I've been passing through different steps. I had until 3 organs installed. The first one was to perceive in a deeper way the atmospheric pressure. The second one was the same, but in another version. And the third one, which is the one I have installed right now in my head, are like a couple of fins inspired by the fish fins. And I call them weather fins. And they allow me to hear through the bone the atmospheric pressure, the temperature, and the humidity. So I can hear the weather during my day through these weather fins.
so when you say that you hear the weather, what exactly does that mean?
So what I do with the weather fins was to relate 3 qualities of the sound and 3 qualities of the weather, which is temperature and humidity and atmospheric pressure. And yeah, basically what I do is to create like a system that converts like the weather data into sound in my head, so I can literally hear like the data from the weather around me through the fins. Yeah. I don't know if you understood it all, but
So so
see.
so for that, I mean, did you create the technology, or did you work with someone that also like helped you create it, or how did you go about creating this first? I guess, well, first, how did you even think of this, and then secondly, how was it created? This like technology.
Yeah. So, well, I discovered the movement, like the cyber car movement, through two friends, Neil Harbison and Moon Rivas. They were already working on the creation of new senses and new organs. And yeah, well, I get inspired by their work, and basically, I decided to start creating my own new body part to explore the weather, which has been something that I've always been interested in. And and specifically to connect myself to the rain. Specifically, I've always been interested in the rain, and I wanted to create this new body part to connect myself in a deeper way to the rain. And that's how I started, like how I discovered it. And then during the years, I've been collaborating with different people to create like the each project itself, like each organ I made. Because I came from photography, so my background was not like really technological. And the beginning, it was like getting inside a new completely world, like this technological world, like creating new body parts through technology was like super like unknown to me. And basically what I do during the project is like to design the idea itself of the project, and I don't know, like design the stuff, like designing the sound I will hear, which will be related to the weather, designing the shape of the organ, let's say, and all this stuff. But then I collaborate with other people, like electronical engineers, to make like possible the idea I already thought, or 3D designers to pass like my sketches to the 3D model. So I've been collaborating with different people, but it's like creating like when you create a movie that you direct the movie, but you collaborate with other professionals, and you create this movie all together. Because it's like the same. I directed the project and I collaborated with a lot of other people to make it possible.
So I mean, are you able to take them out like at the end of the day, like, or are they always in and are they always on?
Yeah, at the moment they are installed. The most like the measure part is installed, which it means that it's not implanted. And then I have a couple of implants that they were the ones that allow me to hear the weather, like to transmit the vibration that creates the fin to the bone. And when it arrives to the bone, it becomes a sound. It's sound through bone conduction, it's called. So basically, yes, at the moment I can uninstall them, for example, at night if I want to sleep more comfortable, because now they're quite like big and weight, and I'm working. But what I can take out is the implants, of course. But now the intention is to implant them in the bone, in the skull. But when they get like lighter and smaller, I'm now like working and designing already like the next version for the weather fins, which they will be lighter, smaller, and the idea is to in order to implant them in the skull, because it's more comfortable, like to me it's like my body, so it's like creating a new body part that I really want, and it's more comfy at the end of the day, like to have the body part, not like to wear it, let's say, to have it installed. So yeah, it's like the path I want to follow, my aim basically with the project.
Do you feel like with your work, I mean, do you consider it more in the realm of art, or do you consider it more in the realm of science? I mean, I know what you're doing is kind of a combination of both, but I mean, would you say that like when, like, let's say when you're out and about and someone comes up to you and they see you and they say like, wow, like, I'm sure that must happen often where somebody sees you that they don't know anything about you. This is the first time they've ever seen you, and I'm sure you get a lot of questions and things like that. Do you yeah, how do you normally lean towards it? Like, do you say your work is more in the realm of art or science?
Yeah, I to me like the context is completely the art. Yeah, I come from the art and I see it as a cyborg art project. And yeah, to me it's like no sé. I know it's also related to other like branches like science, of course. It's also related like see tech or health. No, maybe it could be related in the end, because during these years I've been also giving talks about this, and at the end of the day there's like different branches that gets interested by the project, because it takes these different like specialities, let's say. But to me it's an art project. It's an art exploration and a personal exploration about myself, my identity, and yeah, and see, and but always seen from the arts realm. See.
Would you say that like this also too? I mean, does this kind of fall into the like, I guess the larger grouping of like transhumanism? I guess would you say?
Well, to me, it's related to the Transspeciesism, which
Okay.
is a movement I defend, let's say, because transhumanism, that's true, that is related to add technology to the body, but transhumanism is always like explained since a point of view where this new technology that is implanted in the body is to enhance the human species. And to me, like adding the weather fins or adding new senses is not like to enhance myself, it's like just to explore myself and maybe to become different but not better, like to me, having more senses and not having more senses is not about enhancing something, it's about extending, I would say. And transhumanism, it's seen with this term. I think it sees like the species and the whole around them like in a vertical way, where you're better when you add like technology. And I don't think that, and I don't defend that. And to me it's more transspeciesism, like to to be like, I would say, to go, it's a, I feel less human or now, or I discovered like an inner identity which is not related directly to the human species. So to me, being trans-species is like having a part in yourself that it doesn't identify with the human being. But it's not better or worse, it's like in an horizontal line where all the species are equal, and it's not bad not being human or being more human. No, like it's just different. And yeah, transhumanism is very united to human still. And to me also, that I get a lot of inspiration about other species, and I feel like I'm adding organs that are inspired in other species, and like, for example, in the fish, no, which I like my fins. And to me it's like getting closer to the other species than to the human, so I prefer like to use the term of trans species, which I think defends more my values than transhumanism or transhuman.
So it's basically like I guess the idea for transhumanism is that like it would be technologies that are created in order to make people either whatever it may be, live longer, stronger, have more durability, or whatever it may be, or even potentially even like hair growth for men if they're balding, or whatever it may be, some kind of thing where it's more of a merger of humans and technology in order to enhance human beings to be the best version of themselves. Whereas like transspeciesism, that's more of a concept of, I mean, I don't want to say merging humans with like potential characteristics of animals in nature, but almost something more like akin to that, where it's more of a like a, yeah, like, I don't know if I want to say fusion or something, where it's an incorporation of other things that other animals that are out there for this, for the sole purpose of, not okay, well, I'm going to do this because this is going to help me have more durability, or this is going to make me stronger, whatever it may be. But okay, well, that
yeah, but to me, and it's also like getting closer to nature and the other species, which I think as human beings, we kind of live in our bubble of anthropocentrism sometimes. And to me, it's like a practice that also like, like gets me closer and gets me like feel more identified with the other animals, than to just being in the human bubble.
well, that makes sense. I mean, for when you have the weather fins on and everything, and you're outside and you're out and about. I mean, sometimes does it ever feel? Well, I guess yeah. How would you describe the sensation? I mean, like what you're hearing. I mean, and what you're feeling. I mean, how does that compare to, let's say, life before you ever had them? Like, is it like profoundly different, or is it just minorly different? Like how would you describe it?
I would say it's a different experience than the one I had before, of course. But I would say that to me, life is more liquid right now, because what I hear when it's like basically sounds that are similar to bubbles and like a sandy, like crackling sound. Because let me explain you super like fast how I like the kind of sounds I hear, because I think it could be easier for you to understand. But like how I design it is like the temperature. So I hear a sound inside my head, no, and that what I did is to relate three qualities of the sound, which are tone, tone, volume, and texture, to the three elements I perceive, which are temperature, humidity, and atmospheric pressure. So whenever the temperature changes, the tone of the sound I hear changes. If it's hotter, the weather, the sound I hear is like high pitch, and if it's colder, it's like low pitch. If the pressure changes, the volume changes. So whenever the pressure drops, the volume also drops. And the humidity is related to the texture or the timbre, let's say, And it's related when the weather is super dry. I hear like a crackling sound, like kind of similar to the vinyl, like the vinyl sound, like it's
Okay.
something like this. And it's on a scale from this kind of sound to a bubbly sound, which is when it's 100% humidity, let's say, it's super bubble, like there's no even crackling. But it's like on a scale. So there's like it's like an atmospheric noise inside the head, which is related to the weather around me. So it's like a meteo audio exploration or no perception. No sé, I don't know how to say it, but like, yeah, I mean, these bubbles, if it's super humid, the weather is super hot and the pressure is high, so I would hear like high pitched bubbles, super loud, you know. And this changes depending if it gets like more cold, a colder weather, but it's still the humidity there, but the pressure drops. I will hear like a bubbly sound, but in a deeper pitch and with lowest volume. So it's like an atmospheric noise that is related to my surroundings, but it's happening all inside the head, and which changed me in the way that now I'm more conscious about that I'm like diving in an atmosphere, for example. Like, I like to see the relation of the being underwater and being like under the atmosphere. Like it's the atmosphere. It's like a sea or an ocean itself, made by air, and we are diving in it. And yeah, this is actually what I wanted, like, to create in my mind. Like every time, for example, the humidity gets higher, like I wanted to feel that I was like diving underwater. So that's why I created like this bubbly sound, which so it allows me to feel that I'm like submerged in an atmosphere, which is real. So now I'm more conscious about this fact, I would say. But also, like, the life is more liquid to me now. I would say.
That definitely sounds like a very different experience than all of us walking around like just normally. I mean, or some of us, including myself, I feel like, we don't necessarily, I don't know, think about the natural world around us a lot. And I just mean like in a small micro sense of, when people are walking around or when they're going to their cars in a parking lot or whatever it may be. I think sometimes there's a little bit of, I don't know, just a sense of, just kind of like indifference of the world around us somewhat. And I'm not even talking like the big, all the political sense or anything like that, like a huge sense. I mean, I'm just even talking about like what's outside, like how nature looks and how it feels and everything like that. I think a lot of us, we don't even really think about that. The only time we ever really think about outside is just simply if it's hot or cold. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
today's really hot. Or I mean, out here there was we just kind of had like a month or so on and off of having like really big fires. And
Right.
it was, oh, well, the air quality is bad, or it's hot, or it's windy, or whatever it may be. But there was nothing more than that. It was like the take was just, oh, when it's bad, but nothing like what you're describing, which just sounds like really in depth and really connecting, I guess you could say, to the natural world around us. And I
I think
imagine,
it's
oh,
of the
sorry.
project itself, like connect to my surroundings, and it's, in the end, I like the position of that I'm connecting deeper with nature through technology. I think maybe this was like my interest in the beginning, as well, like this contradiction of the technology. It's seen in a way of the disconnect us from our surroundings, but in the end it's the use that we give to technology. Like, if we have our faces like completely stick to our screens the whole day, of course we're disconnecting through technology, but technology is in the end not like the bad piece of the problem. It's like the use we give to technology. And yeah, I guess this is one of the points of the project, like to connect with my surroundings, or reconnect with my surroundings, I would say. And there's lots of other projects about cyber art that where the intention is this exactly, to connect with nature through the new senses.
Well, I mean, I think it was a really good point that I think a lot of contemporary people, I think a lot of us, yeah, we, even if we know it or not, I mean, basically technology's influence on our life has basically either disconnected us entirely from the natural world around us or even from other people, whether it be things like, instead of, calling a friend or seeing a friend in person, it's, text messaging them or messaging them through some online application or something like that, or even like playing video games where people, instead of hanging out with friends again, they'll spend hours and hours on video games or even, dating, things like that. Like, some of it comes from online and, yeah, it's very depersonalizing. I mean, it's very, in my opinion, very kind of like mechanical feeling. But I wanted to ask you, I mean, are there, I guess what's next in that sense? Like, are you thinking about adding something else to your body eventually? And if you are, what would it be?
I guess now I'm focused on basically to create the next version of the fins, which will they will be lighter and smaller, yeah. But then I will change as well, I think, the way they are designed, the sense itself. So because I want to. The new fins, I want to make them more focused on the rain perception itself, and I want to create these smaller fins that they are able to connect through the Wi-Fi to other rain radar stations around the globe. And the aim would be to be completely connected to the rain from the different parts of the planet. And through the Wi-Fi, being able to connect, for example, to Tokyo or to California. And since from Barcelona, here, if there's rain, I don't know, 20 kilometers around the weather station I'm connected to. So this will be a way of extending my senses through technology, but also using the Wi-Fi. So using the Wi-Fi as a sense, we'd say. And yeah, this is my next step, let's say, to work in more focus on the rain. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested as well in other ideas that I've been thinking during these years, and more related to the climate change, or being really connected to climate change data, in order to feel how the Earth is feeling along the years, but yeah, I would say that maybe an organ related to climate change data or global warming, for example, data, more real, in this way. But see, now I'm focusing the next version for the fins.
Oh, nice. Well, definitely. I mean, I love to hear more about the things that you're creating in the future. I mean, I think that would be awesome. And I wanted to ask you too, how can we keep up with the work that you're doing? Like, how can we follow? Because I know that you said that you also, I've seen some of your photographs. I mean, they're also they're really well done. I thought they looked really great. Yeah, how can we follow your work? Like, I mean, do you post regularly on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or your website?
Yeah, Instagram is the one I use the most. But yeah, Manel De Aguas, that is on Instagram. Yeah, I post there everything. Every time I have to post something somewhere, I post it there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, perfect. Well, definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time, and I want to learn more and about your work and everything like that too. And I'm gonna check out some other stuff too. But thank you again for your time, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. It's been a great time. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Take care.